hold back huge quantities of job-creating investment in some of the most distressed areas of our country, like Western Pennsylvania, and the types of jobs in construction, heavy labor, that are in most short supply and are burdening middle-aged men across the country. It can't make sense at a time of unprecedented promise in the life sciences that we are slashing the funding for fundamental biological research, but it also can't make sense that various kinds of tort lawyer problems and the like do so much damage in holding back the use of innovative medical treatments.
Let me stop you.
So
Go ahead.
we've got to come together around growth rather than this obsession with the budget deficit. If we solve growth, it will take care of the budget deficit.
But can't we have growth, entitlement reform, as well as tax reform at the same time? And that you will have revenues to do the things that you believe are essential for America to be competitive in the 21st century, having to do with research, having to do with infrastructure, having to do with productivity. And at the same time have entitlement reform, and at the same time eliminate some of the deductions that corporate America has come to believe are necessary but may not be.
Charlie, there's certainly some changes in the entitlements that would be desirable. There's certainly room to broaden the tax base. But those are means to an end. The end we should be focused on is raising growth and raising standards of living. What I was stressing before was, and this is contrary to the Washington wisdom at the moment, if we can pick up growth by only several tenths of a percent, the budget fundamentally is balanced in the sense that debt will not be rising relative to GDP. We don't have to slash Social Security. You know, yes, there's changes that probably should be looked at over time, but the highest benefit you can get, if for your whole life you make the maximum contribution to Social Security, your annual benefit is still well below $40,000. And so putting the stress on slashing that at a time when we've got so many opportunities, some of them are by doing pro-business things that Democrats don't usually advocate, but at a time when we've got so many opportunities to raise the growth rate, why the obsession should be with entitlements, like the test of a country is, did we scale back entitlements? No. The test of the country is, did we have a stronger economy for our children than we had for ourselves? And that's what's in doubt, and that's what we should be focusing on.
But I problem with your argument.
There may be some changes in entitlements towards that, but we've elevated entitlement reform to a totem that's sort of above and beyond the objectives which it's supposed to serve.
Yeah, but sometimes when you make the argument you make, and which I agree with, and I'm not even an economist, but it just makes sense to me, that growth is essential. It sounds like that you are, by saying it's not an entitlement issue, it's a growth issue, that you don't want to accept the idea that we live in a political world, and a lot of people think that we do have an entitlement that needs to be looked at, that you need to have a more effective way of serving the interest of people who need social welfare.
Charlie, look, everybody's perspective's got to be respected, and there's no reason why my perspective should be controlling. So, of course, there's a role for compromise. But the people who think the center of our national problem is entitlements are wrong. The truth is that people get $40,000 if they've made the maximum contribution throughout their life. Taking some of that away from them is not the key to a better life for my children. People don't realize the numbers, Charlie, have changed hugely. The projected budget deficits, for a variety of reasons, because the healthcare cost curve has turned, because the recovery has continued, they're not what they were before. And that's why we don't have to act like we are Greece or Italy facing bankruptcy if we don't slash the federal budget.
Okay.
On the current projection, debt will go down relative to income for 10 years from where we are now.
Judd Gregg is following you on this program this evening, and I've already recorded it here in anticipation of you coming and knowing your arguments. I'll talk to him about it. He says the same. He says, I believe in growth. We all believe in growth. I mean, it's the same thing. You don't believe in entitlement reform, but don't focus. He believes in growth. He suggests that the model for the budget negotiation ought to be Simpson-Bowles. Do you agree with that? Was Simpson-Bowles on the right track in terms of a solution to some of the budget issues, and accepting the notion that we don't have growth, we will never grow out of the economic issues we have?
Erskine and Allen are good friends, and there's some ideas there that are certainly right, particularly with regard to tax reform. But, you know, we've had 10 budget supercommittees in the last few years, and we haven't made really any fundamental legislative changes. Perhaps we should take a different frame on the problem and focus on picking up the growth rate. Remember, only a couple of tenths of a percent increase in the growth rate sustained will be larger over time than all the things that Simpson and Bowles are talking about. So yes, tax reform would be better to do. Yes, the right kinds of ways of controlling healthcare costs are the right idea. But at a time when the vast majority of the country has not seen incomes grow for a long time, at a time when the economy is not producing growth in employment relative to the size of our population, I don't know why our national debate has to be obsessed around the deficit 15 years from now. And so, yeah, most of the things are on balance better, but it's the wrong preoccupation, I believe, for our political process.
And where do you put two issues that are part of the political conversation as well? One, what's happening to the middle class, and you've that, but also the same part, growing disparity between the poor and the wealthy in our society.
These are huge questions, and historians will look back at how they dealt with those questions